place. Hot sports all place. 365, we making a place. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all place, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tight the laces. Hot sports all plays. Network. Hot sports all plays. Network. We on top of our game. Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays.
Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the All Sports All Plays Network. My name is Will Polston, and I am alongside some amazing gentlemen today. First off, we got Chris Brown. Chris, we're coming straight from a debate. We're cooling off a little bit. How you feeling?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm feeling great. That was a great debate to judge. Man, I love judging with you because I know, man, me and you together, the questions we create, great debates happen when we create questions, man. So I'm glad to be here in Real Talk. We got Kai Man with us, you're with us, me and Coach Cam ready to bring it. I know you guys are coming to bring it. This is going to be a hell of a show.
All right. Next, we got Coach Cam, the reigning and defending champ from the debates. You now know who your opponent is, so you're ready to go. How are you feeling tonight, Cam?
Well, I feel good. Congrats to J Mac and Landon both. They did a good job. Obviously, it always seemed like it comes down to that final question. But I'm excited. I'm definitely excited, and you know what? I'm looking to hold down the crown. I expect to be in the finals and facing off against whoever it may be.
All right. And joining us today, a special guest to the Real Talk scene, Mr. Con Man. Mike, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great, fellas, man. I'm looking forward to a good show, man.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Before we hop onto it, why don't we tell everybody how they can become the viewer of the month? Chris, I'll turn it over to you. If you're down in the comments section, what could that do for you?
Yes, for everybody watching, thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. If you want to be viewer of the month, what you can do is like the video, share the video, like the page, share the page. At the end of the month, we're going to tally everything up. Whoever does it the most is going to be crowned viewer of the month, and that viewer of the month gets their very own ASAP Network t-shirt. Also, if you're not able to comment, if you're listening to us on our audio platforms or you rewatching the shows, what I want you to do is message us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Search our $14.99 plus shipping and handling. You can message us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or if you know what an analyst personally, you can send in a message and they'll get it back to us. Again, search $14.99 plus shipping and handling. Beautiful ASAP shirt. Gonna get it to you ASAP.
All right, man. We don't waste time here on Real Talk, so let's just jump right into the topics. Starting off with the normal fashion that we do here on Real Talk, the NFL, and going into hot takes. I don't know why, Coach Cam. Every time I've always been a moderator on the show, I always go to you first. So I'm a stick with the bread. I'm a stick with what works, man. Coach Cam, I need a hot take for the NFL.
Hot take for the NFL. That's a little out there, but I only think Urban Meyer lasts 1 year with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think it's gonna be like a Nick Saban situation where he finds out quickly that the NFL is not for him. And maybe he goes back to the booth where he'll always have a job at, or he may go back to the college ranks. I just don't see this being successful. I really don't. Even with some of the coaches that they're hiring, so for me, I think I just keep it simple. I really think it'll be a 1 year deal with Urban Meyer before he realizes that he needs to step away and the NFL is just not a good fit for him.
Man, Urban Meyer coming out of retirement, signing a 5-year deal, and Coach Cam said, nah, you're not making it that far, buddy. All right. It's starting off hot. Chris, sorry, brother, but you got to follow it up. Need a hot take for the NFL.
Well, Phillip Rivers just retired. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But that means the Colts don't know who their franchise quarterback is. So what do? They make a trade. Not for somebody already in the NFL. But what they do is they trade up in the draft and they draft Justin Fields. The Indianapolis Colts are going to trade up for the draft, get their franchise QB and Justin Fields. You have a running game to rely on, so you're not asking them to throw 50 times. You got good young weapons you can work in. You can draft a tight end or draft a wide receiver in the draft. You still have a very good offensive line. I know you're left tackle for the past decade, just retired, but if you keep drafting the offensive line, you still have a very good right side. You still got Quentin Nelson, who's the best guard I've seen in forever. So this team is going to be loaded, and their defense is still really good. So what do you do? In a division that some teams have question marks at quarterback, you go get a young one, a talented one that's going to have a great career in Justin Fields.
All righty. Justin Fields to Indianapolis via trade up in the draft. Con, man, I need a hot take for the NFL, my man.
Well, being from Massachusetts right now, the hot take, the only take is exactly what the Patriots are going to do at the quarterback position. And what is Mr. Bill Belichick have in store for the Patriots this upcoming season? And, they have a few options. I'm down to see what they're going to do. I think they got to make some very important decisions, and hopefully it can lead them into the right direction.
All righty.
Zach Wilson.
Ooh.
Possibly.
Oh.
And while we're talking about quarterbacks being drafted, my hot take has to include with that as well. Fellas, we've seen 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round before. It's happened. I'm pretty sure that's the most in NFL history. But let me tell you what. We're getting a new record this year. We're going to have the most quarterbacks taken in the first 10 picks. There will be 4 in the top 10 picks taken. Now, is that a great decision? With some of these names on the boards, maybe not. But I'm telling you, right now is the weirdest year for quarterbacks. So many people on the verge of retirement, some even retiring, like we talked about with Phillip Rivers. Some quarterbacks, a lot of quarterbacks have question marks in their quarterback rooms. A lot of quarterbacks being rumors to be traded. There is a lot of quarterback controversy right now in the NFL to where really, if you don't have a top 10 quarterback, your quarterback room might not be concrete. And so we're seeing a lot of question marks throughout the NFL whenever it comes to the quarterback position. I think we're setting a new record here. We may see 4 in the first round. And hell, I think we may see 6, maybe even more in the first round as well, setting a new record for most quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Just because some teams need to bring in that competition. Some teams need to figure out what exactly they got. And so it's time to start looking around. And so I think this year is going to be a big year for the quarterback. If you can come out in college football at the quarterback position, this might be your year to do it. So we'll go ahead and, hell, while we're on the quarterback position, I said if you don't have a top 10 quarterback, your room might not be concrete. So let's talk about a quarterback right now and talk about whether or not he is top 10. Lamar Jackson, obviously a former MVP already at this time, 1-3 in his career in the playoffs. There's a lot of speculation talking about can he get it done with his arm. Everybody knows his leg ability, but can he be a quarterback? Chris Brown, turn it to you first. Is Lamar Jackson a top 10 quarterback right now in the league?
Right now, I'd have to give it to him. He's top 10. I don't have him in my top 5 right now, but that's not necessarily his fault. He just barely sneaks into my top 10. But for me, I've been saying it all year. They have no passing game. And it's not only just him. I heard people say, they got tape on Lamar now. No, they got tape on that offense. This offense doesn't have a lot of receivers that get open and make plays. You got Hollywood Brown, but they barely use him the right way. They barely use Snead the right way. If you got 2 tight ends, that's easy to guard. Lamar Jackson, yes, has questionable things when it comes to his arm. Can he make certain throws? Is he as accurate? We see him be inaccurate with the ball. But if you're telling me you give him, a pass offense like somebody with the Saints, you're telling me even if you give him weapons like, what Deshaun Watson had in Houston, because I'll take all 3 of those wide receivers over what he had in Baltimore. If you give him, a steady group of wide receivers, will he be, the Drew Brees when it comes to accuracy, which we're going to talk about a little bit later? He might not be. But will he be able to make plays with his arm when he finally has weapons and an offensive coordinator that game plans around him throwing the ball? I think we will see changes. Going into next year, no, Lamar Jackson is not a top 5 quarterback. To be honest, he's just at 10 for me, barely making it in. But do I think he's going to have a good year next year if they get some wide receivers and change the game plan? You damn right. He won MVP for a reason. So the disrespect on his name needs to stop. There's questions about his arm, but he's still a hell of a player.
All right. So we got yes for Chris Brown just sliding into the top 10. Conman, do you think Lamar Jackson ranks in the top 10 of quarterbacks right now?
Yes, I do. I mean, he threw for 2,700 yards. He had a pass rating of 99. Although he threw 9 interceptions, I mean, you go by the eye test. He has a career rating of 102. The eye test tells me that he has all the skills necessary. He just got to work on his passing game, cut back on the turnovers. But he's like Chris said, he doesn't have many weapons, and the weapons that they do have, they didn't really use them properly. But as far as just going by the eye test itself, I mean, the guy can run. One of the best running quarterbacks we've ever seen. And once they get some weapons around him, I definitely think he's going to improve. And I definitely think he definitely is in the top 10, without question.
All right, Chris, you look like you got something to add to that. What's going on?
Because he said it right. I mean, you draft a quarterback. You draft a wide receiver in the 3rd round. You bring in Dez Bryant. They're not even really in a game plan. So it's like I question what the play call, and I question the offensive coordinator. I'm curious to hear what Coach Cam has to say because this is a quarterback that's in his division. So I know he's really going to break down some of the things that you guys want to hear. But it's like I think, well, at least me personally, I know Conman said it. The man has no weapons. He has the worst wide receiver group in the division by far. It's not close. If you give him some of those wide receivers, I feel like he will have better years like his MVP season.
All right, Coach Cam, we'll turn it over to you. We got 2 people saying yes, Lamar is in the top 10 right now. Are you joining them or are you going away from him?
He's in the top 10 this year. I mean, but if we're going by right now, he's in the top 10, but he's towards the bottom of that
10.
top 10. He's like around 9 or 10. Eventually, I mean, he does have to have better weapons. I don't judge like him honestly off of how he does against the Bengals because I mean, we're the Bengals. We're not great. So I look at when he plays, the Pittsburgh, the Baltimore, some of the upper echelon teams in the AFC or in the league. And to me, that's where he has had big wins. Don't get me wrong, but he has yet to really show me that he can win with the arm. And that's even though I get it, I get the weapons are bad. But sometimes, you have to make a play. You got to make a play, and being on year 3 now, 2 years basically fully starting. I needed to see a little bit more progress than what I saw. I wanted to at least, I wanted to see him get a little bit better with the completion percentage and things like that. And the deep ball down the field. I just didn't see that. Didn't see the accuracy. So moving forward, you just got to get more accurate. They got to give him more weapons. But Lamar Jackson himself, he has to get more accurate as well. So it's kind of like, to me, it's 50-50. He got to do his part in making sure he makes some of these throws that he does have. Man,
folks, I'm harsh. Okay, let's just jump right to that. I'm a very critical man. Okay, I judge people very hard, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I don't think he's in the top 10 right now. As of right now,
mad at you.
I don't have him there. And we're talking right now. And honestly, I'd put him even lower if it wasn't for some health issues with certain quarterbacks. So to give you guys a couple of list of names of quarterbacks, obviously I'm going to go with the 4 that are still in it right now. I'm taking Allen, I'm taking Mahomes, I'm taking Rodgers, I'm taking Brady. Okay, but we're also going to go along with Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. Got both of them. We got Matthew Stafford I would take over Lamar Jackson right now. I'm taking Kyler Murray over Lamar Jackson right now. I'm taking Baker Mayfield over Lamar Jackson right now. I'm taking Justin Herbert over Lamar Jackson right now. And honestly, if it wasn't for an ACL, I'd mess around and take Joe Burrow over Lamar Jackson right now. So right now I have Lamar Jackson at 11. Currently, he's in there right now right behind him are Joe Burrow and Dak Prescott. I think they're right there. Obviously, with injuries, I think I can't consider them high enough just because didn't see the full season out of them. But honestly, I'd be willing to slide Lamar Jackson all the way back to 13. I'm a little bit old school when it comes to a quarterback. Okay, I know what you can do on the run, and that's awesome. But it's shown that if he gets contained, his game's taken away. I understand he doesn't have the weapons, but some of these quarterbacks don't have weapons either. You tell me Matthew Stafford has weapons? Matthew Stafford got Kenny Galladay, but who else has he got? You know, you're going to tell me Marvin Jones?
Better than better than Snead. But I mean,
you're not wrong. Okay, sure, he's in there, but we're not talking Pro Bowl wide receivers here.
Yeah, Galloway not a Pro Bowler? I mean, he's close to it, better than Brown.
I mean, we're still talking about when you're talking about weapons that you want, does Marvin Jones step out as a name that you would want on your team?
My Eagles need anybody, so you actually.
Well, I understand you're thinking about it from a standpoint.
Okay. I'll say this though. I say that you make a valid point, and that's why I think we all. I know Coach Cam said I'm not mad at you because I mean, like, there's quarterbacks that make it work because they have more arm talent.
Of course,
and I understand that, but then you got to think of it how I'm thinking. Like, okay, if you know he doesn't have the best arm talent, why are you not going to help him out right there? You know. If you know this guy isn't, you know, the Aaron Rodgers of the world, the Patrick Mahomes of the world, those guys at least have talent around them from the wide receiver to the tight end position. If you know Lamar Jackson isn't the best thrower, the most accurate guy, the mind would think, okay, surround him with talent, make the wide receivers help him look good instead of having him trying to be, you know, make all these guys look good. That's not him. I'll say this though. Put him on the Rams, they go farther.
I'm not. You didn't hear on my list.
Put them on the 49ers. They win in the Super Bowl. So there's a lot of teams. You know, there's a lot of teams that got weapons that I think Lamar needs. But I'm not trying to give him a pass for his arm because, like the Bills game, right? He did his thing, but he threw that pick six, so that cut all that away. You know, against the Titans, I seen him throw like Coach Cam said it best. The accuracy on a deep ball. I seen him throw a ball that's, you know, was in the air for a long time. So I know he has to work on them things. I'm just excited to see, or I can't wait to see for him actually to have weapons, man. Because once he has weapons, I feel like we'll see a better Lamar. I feel like the Ravens are boxing him in a little bit, so it's making it easier to guard. You know they're going to run the ball for 150, but when it's time to pass, you know, you feel like you got them. And I feel like the Ravens are boxing themselves into a corner. They need to expand their offense. They don't think Lamar can throw. They need to move on. But that's what they're trying to say.
For sure. I mean, I can understand whenever it comes to that to look at Lamar saying he needs better weapons and everything like that. We all know that the arm talent may not be up there in the upper tiers of quarterbacks right now in the NFL. But whenever I look at, I'm kind of with Coach Cam in the fact that I got to look at the bigger games whenever he's going up against those other defenses. We know Tennessee Titans don't have that great of a defense. Now, I understand they have some great pieces in there. Kevin Byard's an amazing safety and doesn't get talked about enough. And they have some other cornerbacks like Adoree Jackson who needs some recognition as well. But when you look at his stats from that game, 179, no touchdowns and a pick doesn't do it for me. I understand he did it on the run. That's great. But I'm talking quarterback. I'm talking the guy that if I need a throw made, who's going to make it for me? And right now, I don't trust Lamar to make that throw. Now, if he had better weapons, you know, obviously a better weapon can make something happen. You know, Kyler Murray's Hail Mary against the Bills doesn't happen unless DeAndre Hopkins high points over 3 defenders.
Right.
And that's just how it is. But whenever you're looking at it just off of paper, watching game tape and everything like that, I'm taking those 10 arms right off top before I take somebody like Lamar Jackson. I'm not taking anything away from his game. His running game and the way that they scheme around him is great. And they make it work for what they've got. But whenever they need those short intermediate passes, that's what he's good for. But whenever you need a deep ball, if you're not who's probably going to drop it 5 times out of 10, I mean, what good are you doing? So, and do you trust Lamar's arm to get it there every time? Not every time. So it's a toss up for me. He's a fringe guy for me in the top 10. I think he's just outside of it, but that's what we bring the topics for, man. This is why we do real talk. This is why we bring it. We're not hiding opinions. We're bringing it to you how it is.
I've got a question for Coach Cam. Where does he rank in your division for quarterbacks when they're all healthy?
Right now?
Yeah.
When they're all healthy?
You heard my take. I said 3.
I'm gonna say 3rd.
Okay.
Me personally, honestly, I think Joe Burrow's the best quarterback in the division. Like
listen, I'm not going to argue with that because I saw him play and I saw how good he is. So it's not like he played bad. And you know, I know you're not a biased guy.
Yeah,
you're
you know,
not a
I
Bengals fan.
slander my Bengals all the time.
Yeah,
I know who they are.
We with you. Trust me. When I was doing my list, I was thinking of Burrow could be better Lamar because I know what I saw from him. So it's like we not mad at you for saying that. Well, I was just curious on your take on that because for me, he's right there. He's right there at third. So is number one Baker then, or you got Burrow?
I have Burrow 1, Baker 2.
Okay.
Honestly,
No way you put in Big Ben over Lamar now.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Honestly,
Just for me, I've seen what Big Ben can do.
I feel you though,
Coach Cam, right now. All four quarterbacks healthy this year, 2021. Quarterback
honestly,
ranking.
Big Ben second half against the Browns though. His second half against the Browns was good. I mean, it's better than. But that 500 was inflated though.
Yeah, I'll probably put Lamar third. All
right. I'm glad we didn't just put Big. I'm glad we didn't just.
That was almost awesome. I almost witnessed greatness right there. If somebody would have came out here and said Big Ben better than Lamar, I'd have lost it. But I mean, obviously, whenever you're talking long term, sure, of course. But you know, whenever we're talking right now, I don't know if I can give it to Ben right now. And I mean, that's why they're addressing quarterback concerns right now. We just saw them sign Dewey Haskins, so you know, maybe we'll see exactly what.
Yeah, man,
that's fun. But let's stay on the quarterback position. Let's talk about a man who just retired, just hung up the boots. Philip Rivers from the Indianapolis Colts, a long-time Los Angeles Charger, really a long-time San Diego Charger, if we're going to be honest. But when he just called it quits, he said he's going to retire. I'd assume that a announcing career is probably going to be coming to him pretty soon. I'm assuming he ain't stepping away from the game completely. He's got plenty of kids to coach, and let's talk about his NFL career. Obviously, that's the ultimate goal. Your ultimate goal in the end of your career is to get to the Hall of Fame. Is Philip Rivers a Hall of Fame quarterback, in your opinions? Con Man, I'm going to start with you. Where do you sit for Philip Rivers? Is he in or is he out?
He's in, without question. The guy for 63,000 yards, 8-time Pro Bowler, he played 244 games. He's 5th in career in touchdown passes, 12th all-time passer rating. I mean, he's had a long established career. The guy's played with a lot of grit, a lot of heart. I think there's no question that he's definitely in the Hall of Fame, without question. He's put up the numbers, and he had the career, longevity. You add those things together, he's definitely in.
Coach Cam, where do you sit on Philip Rivers being in the Hall of Fame or not?
Philip in. And it's pretty easy for me, man. I know he done had some struggles as far as postseason and things like that. You know, they had some good teams where they came up short, but if you can't deny the numbers. You know, and it's almost like, you know, Marino getting in, you know, in a sense, you know, doesn't necessarily have a title, you know, came up short, you know, sometimes, really had organizations that didn't always put the pieces around him. I know they had LT at the time, but, you know, after that, they didn't really put any pieces around Phillips to succeed. And yeah, he was still, you know, dragging this team to, you know, winning as much as possible. I got him in. I got him in as a Hall of Fame quarterback for sure.
3 for 3, Devil's advocate.
Nah, Chris going the opposite.
I think he is.
I mean, I'll be honest, man. If you asking me, I'm saying no. If you asking me, he's probably going to get in. But if you asking me, I'm saying no, because I mean, the Hall of Fame, I thought it should be for guys that, you know, generational talents, guy that changed the game. You know, Philip Rivers, he put up a lot of numbers. He didn't win nothing. And I know you talking about Dan Marino, but Dan Marino was one of the most gifted quarterbacks we've ever seen. Is Philip Rivers in that upper echelon? So we talking about gifted quarterbacks passing the ball. If you feel like that, then I think he should be in. You know, he's probably going to get in. You can't deny the numbers. Don't get it twisted. I love Philip Rivers. For a guy that trash talks that much and doesn't curse, that takes a strong man to do. I'm a fan of Philip Rivers. But is he a quarterback? Was he one of the best quarterbacks in his era? Is, you know, did he dominate his era? And those are all no's. He got the numbers, but those are all no's. For me, Eli Manning is but why he's going to probably get in, he has 2 rings. Phillip Rivers is with no playoff success. So for me, I'm voting no, but he probably is going to get in, you know, and I'm not going to be hating if he does get in, because the man had a hell of a career. And it's all respect to Phillip Rivers. But if you ask me personally, I don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think a lot of players that's not getting voted in should be, and a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. When is the Hall of Fame going to stop being, you know, a bias type of thing? Stop being, I think it's your butt to get in, to be on, you know, numbers and impact in the game. But you asking me, Phillip Rivers, he's not first ballot. You know, if he should get in later on the line, maybe. But for first ballot, indefinite, I'm voting no.
I align with Chris on that final statement.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be first ballot. I don't think there's any way he's
going to clarify that. Not first ballot, later on the line. Yes, he probably is going to get in. So let me say that I'm not a Phillip Rivers hater. I'm not a hater.
My thing is
Troy Aikman hater.
I'm also a Troy Aikman hater, but my thing is whenever you're looking at it, I understand he wasn't the dominant guy. Whenever you're looking at it in his group of quarterbacks, obviously he went up against the likes of Tom Brady, went up against Big Ben, Drew Brees, you know, a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of really solid quarterbacks in his time, and he was never a top 3 guy. But you don't retire and leave the sport in top 5 in some of the most significant passing categories there are and not make the Hall of Fame. Eventually, I think he'll get his way in. And that I said that he may be in an announcing booth or something like that, because that could honestly help his way in. That could add a little bit to his resume, and that could help him get pushed in. Because we've seen quarterbacks go to the booth, and then later on in their career, they get moved on for what they've done there. You know, and we've seen coaches like that. You know, we've seen all types of stuff kind of get enshrined because of things that have happened outside of the field. And I think Phillip Rivers could be a little bit of a difference maker when it comes to that. Off of his play, I'd still put him in, just because I don't think I understand not dominant. I understand not getting to getting the ring. I understand not doing all that. But at the end of the day, when you look at it from a numbers standpoint, he was dominant. You know, he is in the top 5 of all time. And we have some of the greatest quarterbacks that, you know, in the history of football that have ever stepped foot on a field. And he's surpassed those numbers. I understand it's a different game. It's a whole entire aerial attack now. It's all, but still, you know, there are still some quarterbacks that don't catch up to those numbers, and we still consider them great, you know? And so whenever you're looking at it, I still think Phillip Rivers is going to find his way in, not first ballot, but eventually he'll get a gold bust of himself. I think that's a matter of time.
Yeah, let me go back on that. I think he's going to get in, not first ballot though. Yeah, first ballot, no. Will he get in eventually? Yeah, I think so. But first ballot, I don't think so. And also, I like what you said about going in the booth, because I feel like that helped Randy Moss get in on, you know, because there's no reason T.O. had to wait all them times. And then, you know, I love Randy. Randy's one of my favorite athletes of all time. But if you made T.O. wait with his numbers, and then, you know, Randy's, you know, first ballot, I feel like him being in the booth helped him out. But also, who wouldn't love to see Phillip Rivers being in the booth? Trash talking in the booth while calling the game and having a good time. I don't like Tony Romo, but I'll be honest. I like watching Tony Romo because he explains the game for some people that have no idea. And I feel like Phillip Rivers would do the same thing, but maybe more funnier than Romo. And that you know, that's better than some of the trash guys we get to see. I'd rather watch with no volume than some of these guys. Like people calling the Eagles game Vilma. He's terrible.
Yeah, it's one of those, whenever you look at it, I mean, what he does afterwards could really help him out, because, you know, we talk about some other people like Dick LeBeau. Dick LeBeau went on into the booth and actually went on into coaching as well. And coaching is what got him there. His success as a coach got him there. You know, John Madden was a great coach, but then his success and obviously running the whole football game, like literally it's all named after him, you know, and then he had time in the booth and he was phenomenal in the booth. That helps you out. It pushes you towards it, because now John Madden's one of the most synonymous names with football. And it's just one of those to where if you have a greater impact off the field, I think that really helps out. And I mean, at the end of the day, there's only 48 people who vote for this. So, you know, you persuade enough people, you persuade that knit group of people, and I think you found yourself in. And I think it's just a matter of time before he gets a gold jacket. We're not going to see it right away, but I think he'll find himself in the Hall of Fame one day. So Let's get into a guy that we know is probably going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Let's talk about Drew Brees. We all know it is speculated that he is retired. He is not going to come. He has not yet come out and made a statement on his retirement. But we all shed a tear when he made that final look back to the Superdome as he was walking out of the tunnel there. Bucs versus Saints. Emotional moment for sure. But let's talk about his legacy. Let's talk about where he falls among all these quarterbacks, specifically top 5. Now he's going out on top with the most passing yards and the second most passing touchdowns in NFL history as of right now. But is that enough to put him as a top 5 quarterback all time? Coach Cam, we'll start with you.
For me, it does not. I've watched Drew Brees have phenomenal regular season where he throws for 5,000 plus yards and 35 plus touchdowns and less than 10 interceptions, and it looks good. They get home field advantage throughout the playoffs and they lay an egg. Like, how many times have we seen them lose in the Superdome in a playoff game? And we look at Drew Brees and he played a below average performance. Like, we look at this year. I mean, honestly, against the Bears, my Lord, I mean, if you could muster up any kind of points, the Saints are in trouble. Then you turn around and look at the Bucs, just honestly, passes don't have no zip on them at all whatsoever. Had 3 turnovers there. You go to last year, you lose at home to the Vikings, first round playoff. To Kirk Cousins on your home field. You can't have that. You talk about being the top 5 quarterback of all time, and you losing to Kirk Cousins at home, 23-20. That's not it. That's not it for me. Is he a top 10 quarterback of all time? Yes. But when we talk about top 5, no. I mean, I understand he got the records. He has great numbers, but for the eye test, for what I see, no, he's not.
Chris Brown?
Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Steve Young, Joe Montana, Elway. Those more than 5, and I have them all above Drew Brees. So the answer to that question, for me, Drew Brees is not a top 5. Top 10, I'm not going to argue. I think he's top 10, but for me, it'd be bottom of that list. Like Coach Cam said, I mean, he's had talent on his team, never got it done, especially in the playoffs. His postseason success, which I think Sean Payton needs to be held accountable to after their Super Bowl is really, really bad. When I mean really, really bad, I mean the people they beat aren't Super Bowl teams, So it's like, he put up great numbers. They had great offenses, but they never, led to any real victories, any postseason success after that Super Bowl. I think he's a great quarterback. I think a lot of quarterbacks need to be looking up to him because what he did on the field, how he's able to control the offense, how accurate he was, which I think is something that a lot of more people need to be talking about. I think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But to answer your question, top 5, nah, buddy, not for me.
Con man, you going to go 3 for 3, or do you have Drew Brees in your top 5?
He put up some phenomenal numbers. 13 Pro Bowls. He has 4 NFL records. He's the most accurate passer in NFL history. 571 touchdown passes. But to rate him as within the top 5, I would say no. I wouldn't put him in the top 5. The names that Chris came up with, I have to agree with. I wouldn't put him in top 5. Top 10, yes, not top 5. But what a great, phenomenal career he had.
Absolutely. Drew Brees, one of the greatest to ever do it, for sure. And there's no debate on that point when it comes to one of the greatest. Top 5, I think, is pushing it. But I will say he made something happen that I can't personally relate to. I'm 6'3". I don't understand what it's like to be the small guy in the locker room. I don't know what it's like to be undersized for my position. I don't know what it's like to do all of that. But Drew Brees made that a thing. Drew Brees made it to where you were comfortable with a 6-foot quarterback. You look at the ways of Kyler Murray now, 5'10". You look at the ways of Russell Wilson, 5'11". And it's one of those to where you don't. I can't say top 5 all time, but I will say he changed the position for sure. And his legacy for the Saints, and not only the Saints, but the game of football, honestly, I might put that top 5 all time. I mean, Drew Brees is a guy who absolutely changed the quarterback position and made it to where you're not looking at that guy who's 6'6" with a laser rocket arm all the time. You know, it's a guy that you're comfortable with if he can go out and go make the smart reads, go make all your short passes and make it happen, because this is a guy who he won a Super Bowl at the end of the day. So at a point, this equation worked. You know, and we saw it be successful for the most passing yards in NFL history. Like Conman said, the most accurate quarterback of all time as of right now, according to completion percentage. It's ridiculous to think that you see all those numbers and you don't put him top 5, but he changed the game. I'll give him that. And he brought life back to New Orleans. Right after Hurricane Katrina hit, he comes back and wins it. Well, I mean, what he did for the game, for what he did for the city is beyond words. It's honestly, you can't put a limit on how much it means to the game of football and to the city of New Orleans. But top 5 of all time, I mean, there's been too many greats. I have no doubt in my mind that he is in top 10. That's absolute without question for me. But I think he's a fringe guy. I think he's right in that 6-7 area. I think he's just falling right behind that top 5 mark. So congratulations on an amazing career, Drew Brees. Absolutely phenomenal. You changed the sport in every single way, and we hope the best for you as well in your future endeavors, because he's got a lot of ways he could go too. I mean, he could be right in a booth. He could be coaching. He could be doing anything. There's no telling what Drew Brees is going to do, and I'm excited to see what exactly he's going to do with his career afterwards. But he's going to be great at it, whatever it's going to be. So. Let's step away from the quarterback position. Let's step on to the Super Bowls. Don't mean all that, because if that's the case, Eli Manning is better if that was the case, because he has 2 Super Bowls. And you know, I understand, you know, Super Bowls aren't all that, you know, but sometimes I don't know who said Super Bowls were all. I don't know. What's up, Chris?
I mean, I really don't like throwing Super Bowls out there, because you got, you know, 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense. You can be a great player, like, you know, some of the players we're going to talk about a little bit later, but you can't do everything, you know. But I'll say this. If 2 guys were very, very similar, I'm talking about similar stats, similar players, I watched them play, everything was the same. One has Super Bowl, one doesn't, then that might change my mind. But I really don't base everything on Super Bowls. Eli Manning is trash. Let me just throw that out there. But go ahead. Bum.
All right. Let's talk about who those quarterbacks are throwing to. Let's talk about wide receivers. A lot of big names this year. Obviously, a lot of people stepped out of their shell, had pretty big breakout seasons. But let's talk about who is the most dominant receiver right now. Who is the best wide receiver currently in the game? If you had to take one right now, you're starting a franchise. That's your very first pick. You get a wide receiver to start. Who are you taking? Chris Brown, you get the honors. Who do you have as the best wide receiver in the game right now?
Ooh, I'll be honest. The wide receiver position right now is good. The past is dominating, the present and the future. They're all dominating. But for right now, for me, a guy who had a great year, a guy who's been very, very consistent, but I think his game is about to go to the next level, you know, this year did and for years to come, I got to go Diggs. I'll be honest. And the reason why I'm going Stephon Diggs is because when you look at all the wide receivers and their quarterback combo, you know, which quarterback and wide receiver combos really, you know, he's going to him every single time and then beat me. He went against the Ravens where they got 3 number 1 wide receivers and still got off against them. You know, there's a lot of good wide receivers to me, and there are some wrong answers, but there's about 5 or 6 guys maybe that you could pick, and I'd be like, okay, I'm rolling with you. But for me, I got to go Stephon Diggs. I mean, the route running, the way he's able to create space, his athleticism, he's a true number 1, and he's really showing that, you know, he has Josh Allen, a true gunslinger, and I think they're going to put up numbers for years to come. I mean, he led this league in receiving yards, had 8 touchdowns this year, averaged 95 yards a game. I mean, this dude was balling out, made big plays. So for me, I'm going with Stephon Diggs.
Conman, who do you have right now as the best receiver in the game?
You know, it came down to DeAndre Hopkins and Diggs. But I think, you know, Diggs put up some great numbers, you know, 127, 1,500 receiving yards, you know, 8 touchdowns. DeAndre also played very well, too. It's a tough call. I mean, you could go either way. If I had to go with it, I'm going to go. Reason why I'm going to pick Diggs because he's still playing. I'm going to go with Diggs because he's still playing. He has a better team. And Again, the numbers are kind of almost equal, but if I had to make a choice, I would go with Diggs.
All right, Diggs for both of them. Coach Cam, are you along the lines, or are you going a different name?
I was gonna go Diggs, but it's that'd be too much like Rice.
Guys
So,
to choose from.
like Diggs is very good though, and I really like his game. But I'm gonna go Devontae Adams.
Oh,
What he does week in and week out. What that passing game and where that passing game goes through, and he finds a way to get it done. Every week, and what he's doing is special. Like he's probably arguably one of the best route runners in the game. You can say, he can run every route in the tree. And even the route guy himself, Chad Johnson, even said, turn on film. I just turn on film and watch Devontae run routes, because it's so pretty. So, with that skill work plus the numbers, I'm gonna go Devontae Adams.
Alrighty. Coach Cam, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with Devontae Adams as well. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, it's been a connection. Don't give me that. Go back and look at the tape. Anybody could throw to Devontae Adams. He's wide open. I mean, it's the separation that he creates with his footwork and everything such as that. He's got such a great release off of the line of scrimmage. It's ridiculous. And he's just so quick whenever it comes to it. He's a quick change of direction, runs every route in the route tree. Devontae Adams is absolutely crazy. And this year, he put up he was fifth in the NFL in receiving yards, first in the NFL in touchdowns with 18. Okay, to give you an idea, 18 touchdowns has only been done on a receiving standpoint 3 times since, 1987? 1987 has only been done 3 other times by Sterling Sharp, Jerry Rice, and Randy Moss. Those are some pretty Sterling Sharp, a couple injuries away from being a first ballot Hall of Famer, to be completely honest. I mean, and obviously we know who Randy Moss and Jerry Rice are. Let's all be honest. So it's one of those to where it's a feat that hasn't been done since 2007. And not only that, he missed 2 games. If you add 2 more games, when he's averaging 98 yards a game, you're looking at leading the NFL in receiving yards. You're looking at potentially 20 touchdowns, if not more. It's crazy to even see the numbers that he's putting up. And I understand there aren't the greatest weapons, but I mean, hell, that undrafted tight end, Robert Tonyan, he put up 11. Surprised no one went with Michael Thomas or Hopkins or Mike Evans. I mean,
Coach Cam, tell him about no, you don't tell him about Michael Thomas. I'll tell him about Michael Thomas, okay?
Yeah, Michael Thomas ain't there for me at all.
Michael Thomas not the number one. I did feel like Drew Brees held him back. I did. So I'll say this. He better step up with a real quarterback next year. But, I mean, Hopkins, he's up there. Mike Evans is legit, but, he, for me, is not a number one. Guys, maybe I go with Hill. Julio's still a beast. But Calvin really put in work this year. DK put in work this year, but not those 2 guys. Not Thomas Evans, especially Thomas for Coach Cam. Oh.
No, heck no, not Michael Thomas.
Or
not Slant Man.
Not Slant Man. Yeah, that's him.
Yep, sure.
But yeah, Devontae Adams is just on a different level, man. It's ridiculous the production he put up in limited time as well. Not to mention that those 3 other players that I mentioned, Sterling Sharp, Randy Moss, and Jerry Rice, all played 16 games in those seasons.
Excuse me.
And that's at least 18 touchdowns. So, and one of them, I'm pretty sure it was Sterling Sharp, had 18 in 16 games. But if he would have had a full 16 game season, miss those 2 games, we could see him have 20 touchdowns. We could see him possibly even have any more. So it's crazy to see the production that he did. And like I said, if you watch tape, it's ridiculous what he can do when it comes to route running, when it comes to release. He's just on a different level. So let's talk about let's go back to the quarterback position. We talked about Drew Brees a little bit. Obviously, Brees speculating that he will retire. This is his final farewell. So there's a big glaring hole at quarterback that hasn't needed to be filled in quite some time. The Saints are back in the quarterback market for the first time in a while. So obviously they need to address it. Let's address it here. If we are the GM of the Saints, how are you addressing the quarterback? Who should the Saints go and pursue? Con Man, I'm going to start with you. Who should the Saints go pursue for the quarterback position? Do they address it in the draft? Are we talking trade? Where are they going?
Well, you took my first two choices, either the draft or the trade, or you keep Jameis Winston. I mean, the guy, we all know he threw 30 interceptions, but the guy also threw for 5,000 yards. I mean, I think if I was a GM, I'd give him another chance. I think he can come through. I mean, he's relatively young. I think he learned from his experiences and the things he's done wrong. And he knows the system. He knows the coach. I'd go with Jameis Winston right now, unless you can get something in the draft or a trade.
Coach Cam, where do you sit? Where should the Saints look for their next quarterback?
Them W's, eating them W's all day. Jameis Winston, man. I mean, they got their quarterback right there. And I still thought they did him a little dirty. I thought they could have gave him, the start over Taysom Hill, because a lot of that stuff that they was running was basic
garbage.
Quarterback power football, And I'm just like, man, they could have Jameis out there, but they got a quarterback right there that I think that could do the job for him, Jameis Winston. I think they need to give him a chance too. But we'll see. Sean Payton loves Taysom Hill, so we'll definitely see. But I think Jameis Winston should be the quarterback for this football team.
Chris, you agreeing 3 for 3?
I mean, unless you're trading for Watson, and I don't even think you should, I'm going Jameis. I mean, and I don't think you go through the draft, because you look at his roster, they're in win-now mode. We all saw Drew Brees say, hey, to Winston, this is your team now. And it should be. You give him a year to learn this offense, a year to learn from Drew Brees, a year to learn stuff with Peyton. Watching Hill play, that was cute. It was cute. It was cute to watch. I mean, my Eagles did win, But at the end of the day, I feel like Winston is a proven quarterback. And with these wide receivers you have, you need a quarterback that can throw the ball. Like Kamian said, he did throw, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, but he showed he could be a gunslinger. Now that you got a real running offense, an offense that will run the ball at the right times, I feel like it's time to use him. And the only other quarterback, I like Stafford, but unless you're trading for Watson, I don't even think you need to trade at all. You got a good enough roster in your win-now mode. Go Winston and let's go. Let's go make it work.
I'm not going to sit here and go 4 for 4. I have Winston written down, but I'm not going to do that. People don't come to ASAP to watch us agree.
I know. I didn't even want to agree. I didn't want to agree, but that's how on this one. That's how I really felt.
Yeah, I had to on that,
because he deserves a chance, man.
I understand, and I'm right there with you. Honestly, I have Jameis Winston writing down in black ink right over there, but it's one of those to where I'm not going to sit here and just keep agreeing with everybody. Yeah, honestly, my heart says Jameis Winston. It makes more sense when Drew stepped off the field, gave Jameis a hug, and said, it's your team now. I mean, it speaks for itself. I mean, the guy literally just handed you the key to the team. The only other place I was looking, like Chris Brown had just mentioned, was Matthew Stafford. I had made the prediction that Matt Stafford was going to get traded to Pittsburgh. That kind of threw me off a little bit when they went on Dewey Haskins. So, sorry, Pittsburgh. You yourself. Congratulations on your new quarterback, I think. Sure. Let's move on. That's disgusting. Let's talk about another team that needs to address the quarterback position. Like we said, Phillip Rivers is going to be retiring at the end of this season. Oh, well, it is the end of the season for him. Sorry. But end of the season, Phillip Rivers is retiring. Now there is a hole at the quarterback position for the Colts. Currently, their backup on the depth chart is Jacoby Brissett, who has starting experience with the Colts, but we'll see exactly where they go. Where would you go if you were the Indianapolis Colts? Give me a name. Who you taking, Coach Cam?
If you're the Colts, it's a lot of things that you can do, if you're the Colts. If you're the Colts, this is what you do. You get on the phone with my Cincinnati Bengals. See, you call and you move up to 5. We'll drop the 22. You give up the first. You give up your second round pick, and you give up next year's first. And you move up to 5, and you get a quarterback. They need to draft a quarterback. They don't, I'm looking at, some things where possibly, the whole Carson Wentz thing, but I think that's now over since the Colts OC has went up there. Now they're going to try to utilize him and try to bring him back to MVP form. So the Colts have to draft a quarterback, and I think they should move up to do so. So that's why I'm hoping they come from my Bengals, kind of so they can give up the farm, and we trade back in the Coop Pitts. But I think looking at drafting a quarterback, and I think they could look at drafting someone like a Zach Wilson, and don't forget about Trey Lance either. A quarterback that could be drafted in the first round as well.
All right. So trading up to go get a higher prospect of Fields, maybe a Wilson. Chris Brown, where are you looking at? I'm pretty sure you already alluded to this earlier.
Yeah, but I just touch on a little bit. Kind of what Coach Cam said. You trade. You got. For me, you trade. You get a quarterback. You get a young quarterback. It's just not like you have an old team, kind of like the Saints. The Saints are more older. A lot of their key players are more older, especially on the defensive end. The Colts are relatively young, so I'm trading up. You might. I'd rather take Fields, so you might have to trade up higher. But regardless, you trade up in the draft and you go get a quarterback. Like Coach Cam said, Wentz is out of the picture now that the OC came to Philly. You're not getting Watson because he's in the same division. The only quarterback you could get was Matthew Stafford. But how much cap do you have? How much trade value do they have? To me, you got to assess all that. And you got to figure out, okay, I'll say this. Matthew Stafford is 32 years old. He's not old. We see Tom Brady playing 43 right now. Stafford is 32. If you give him finally a good offensive line, a good running game with some weapons, that's not a wrong move. To me, whatever one, costs you less, whether it's Stafford or drafting up to get a Fields or drafting up to get a Zach Wilson, that's the one you go to. But to me, those are the best two options.
All right, Con, man. Where are you looking if you're the Colts for quarterback?
Well, man, those are very good opinions there. I kind of agree with both of them. But what about Matt Ryan? What about Matt Ryan? I'm just thinking, change the atmosphere. He's got the experience, and maybe do get someone in the draft by having him, slowly learn the quarterback position on the Matt Ryan.
I like, I actually kind of like that, especially with Atlanta looking to get younger and try to rebuild from scratch. I actually like that. I can actually see that move being done. Matt Ryan being with the Colts, so that's definitely a good suggestion.
My speculation was that Justin Fields won't make it past pick number 4 in Atlanta. So to see Matt Ryan on the move to Indianapolis, honestly, not far-fetched at all. But whenever I was looking at it, I thought about I didn't think they were going to trade up. Honestly, I thought they might stick at 21. And I think that they're going to address it through the draft. And I thought about what quarterback could still be there at 21. And I already made my bold take earlier about 4 quarterbacks getting taken in top 10. But I think this game is a more of what have you done for me recently? What have you done for me now? As opposed to what have you done in the past? And I think missing this season because their team sat out, I think that's going to do Trey Lance something dirty, and I think he's going to slide. I think he's going to fall down a little bit later just because we're missing a year of tape on him. We didn't get to see him this year that much. I think he played in one game. I think that's all North Dakota State did this year was one game. They ended up taking a W, and he went like 15 for 30, which isn't great. It's not numbers that you get excited about. But at the end of the day, he still got the W, and it is what it is. But Trey Lance was a guy who was looked at as the number 3 quarterback going in before this year started. Now, all of a sudden, you're seeing late risers come in like Zach Wilson out of BYU. You're seeing players like Mac Jones jump up. Kyle Trask is jumping up people's list. And so now you're looking at people who have gotten the season under their belt, and GMs are going to be looking at that. And I think Trey Lance might be a name that kind of falls under the radar a little bit and might slip all the way down to Indianapolis. They may trade up. If I see them trading up, they're not going to trade up anything too bad. I could see them maybe trading up around like, say 16, maybe 18.
Come on, Will. I need 5. Trade up to 5. Let me get all that draft capital.
I'm cool with them trading up to 5 too, because that means my Eagles for sure going to get a wide receiver.
Hey, and I understand why y'all would want them to jump up. But, that's a big leap because they're currently sitting at 21. That's a big jump. So, we saw teams jump up before. Like I know your Eagles traded up to get to the number 2 pick, but if I'm not mistaken, to get Carson Wentz. But if I'm not mistaken, they had a top 10 pick that year. They weren't too far back. It's not like you're going from the bottom tier of the first round to all the way to the top. It was more of a top 10 pick going up to number 2. So it wasn't a drastic change, and it's going to take a lot, obviously, especially if you're the Miami Dolphins, if you're the Atlanta Falcons, to try to pry away those picks, and even whenever it comes to the Bengals standpoint, Bengals are probably the most likely team I see moving out of the top 5 whenever it comes down to it, because right now you need offensive line help, and Penei Sewell ain't making it to 5, I don't think. And so if he's not there, I hope for your sake he's there too. And I hope for Joe Burrow's sake he's there. But this is one of the more deeper offensive line classes. I mean, you can get some great talent in the second round. You can get a lot
from Northwestern. I think you can get them later on.
Later from Northwestern. You can get Vera Tucker from USC. You can get Eichenberg from Notre Dame. I mean, there's a lot of projected second round talent that could still step in and be first round talent that's just going to miss out because of some other names. But I mean, that's how it is every year. We see players slide to the second round that should have easily been in the first, sometimes even deeper. So it is a matter of time. I think a quarterback will slip, and I think it's Trey Lance just because of recency bias. And I think he'll fall back a little bit, and he could be the future quarterback for the Colts, and just let him work up, So, hey, Chris Brown knows a thing or two about North Dakota State quarterbacks. Tell you that.
I love him. I don't care what nobody says. I love them.
The thing is it's a smaller school, but they know how to do one thing, and that's win. I mean, they know how to win. Whenever they come into it, they're used to a winning program. They were a top-tier quarterback whenever they were in high school. They move on to a top-tier team in college, and they're a very exciting team to watch year in and year out. They've never – I don't remember the last North Dakota State season that didn't go well.
Right.
So it's a matter of time. And so far we've seen a lot of we've at least seen Carson Wentz, make a transition pretty well. Why not Trey Lance too? So, all right, let's get back to current day football. Before we get to the draft, we have to address the championship games. We're going to start off with the AFC Championship first. The Buffalo Bills are going to Arrowhead Stadium to face the reigning defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Currently, Pat Mahomes, still a question mark for this game. It's a matter of time before we figure out, is he in, is he out? Obviously a difference maker in this game. But let's say hypothetically right now, where are you sitting on this game? Chris Brown, I'll start with you. Bills and Chiefs.
4 words. No Mahomes, no problem. Kansas City's going to win with or without Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. I think, you look at this Bills team, you look at their playoffs, what they did in the playoffs, really should have lost to the Colts. The Colts, Phillip Rivers got, in the red zone and their side of the territory almost every single drive, if I'm not mistaken. The Ravens got in the red zone, got on their side of the territory. A lot of times they just didn't capitalize. One thing about Kansas City, they will capitalize when they get, in your territory, and they will capitalize in the red zone. With Chad Henne, and this is the difference for me with this Kansas City Chiefs team this year compared to other years. They will establish the run. This is a different team to me. Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to play for them to beat you. They will run the ball 30 to 35 times, just like the Colts did, like the Ravens did. The Bills are giving up a lot of yards on the ground. So I feel like, with Patrick Mahomes, is no-brainer. But without him, I trust Andy Reid. I think that defense has been making plays. I think they will, do what it takes to beat the Bills. Even though I like the Bills, picked them as an underdog, I'm glad that they made it this far. Kansas City just a better team, with Mahomes domination. Without him, I think it'll be a close game, but, Big Red going to pull it through.
John, man, who do you have for this game, the Bills and the Chiefs?
Chiefs are the better team, but I'm going with the Bills. 34-27. I think the Bills, I know I'm going against what everybody else thinks, but I'm definitely going with the Bills. It's so hard to repeat. And to me, I keep saying that, and people probably don't understand what I'm saying. It's really hard to repeat. And I think the Buffalo Bills, it's their time. And I think they're going to dethrone Kansas City this year. And then the issue with Mahomes, if this was a regular season game or if it wasn't such a big game, do you think he should be playing at all? With the protocols of the concussion protocols? So he shouldn't even be playing. So I take that into consideration. I'm going to go with Buffalo Bills.
I do like that what you said comment, because if this was a regular game, he won't be clear for next week. they tried to push it like he didn't have a concussion.
They said
Like,
a nerve.
anytime
They
you
said a
get
nerve.
up
Tone.
and stand up and you wobbly like that, you're concussed.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a concussion. So they're not fooling anyone. So I definitely agree with you on that. It's gonna be tough. I got Chiefs winning 27-24. I think it's gonna be very close. I think it's just somehow, some way, the Chiefs will find a way to win. It seems like they always do. To be honest, I mean, they're a good team, but they get so many breaks. It's like Mahomes' bad passes never get picked off. They find a way to drop them.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just somehow, some way they find a way. And I'm not gonna bet against the Chiefs. I'm not gonna bet against Mahomes and Andy Reid, and I'm definitely not betting against my boy Travis Kelce. So
You see,
I'm going with the Chiefs 27-24.
Chris Brown, you know I like you, right? Like I promise you, we're cool off the network, but like I got 4 words for you too. No Mahomes, big problem. Are you kidding me? And he's gonna come in and beat this Bills team? I respect to you for thinking it, brother. But man, Pat Mahomes, like Coach Cam said, like Michael said, that guy's messed up. That guy's definitely messed up. You saw him get up, like you said, fumbling, stumbling all over the place. He's hurt. Okay, it's a matter of time. We're waiting to see the results. And right now, being in concussion protocol, not only do you have to get cleared by team doctors, but also a third-party source in the NFL, another doctor. And they had mentioned that on the Pat McAfee show today, that it could get a little awkward, especially if the team doctor third party doesn't. All the speculation in the world is going to come out. But
as it should.
And it will. It will. They're going to be like,
won't be mad at them for it. Any NFL team would do it.
They're going to be like, oh, that doctor must be from Buffalo. It's going to be, everybody's going to say it. But at the end of the day, even with Mahomes right now, if Mahomes plays, we saw him banged up. So I don't think he'll be 100%. And I think even with Mahomes there, the Bills have what it takes to get it done. I think that their defense is scary. Whenever you look at it, it's a lot of underrated pieces. Ed Oliver is amazing at stuffing the run. Very good whenever it comes to stuffing the run. They have had a defense that is built together for quite some time. Sean McDermott has built the Buffalo Bills team from the bottom tier of the AFC East to a top tier division and has built a winning culture over there in Buffalo. Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, these are names that you need to remember. Tre'Davious White needs to be remembered. There's a lot of defensive pieces on there that just aren't recognized. Now they're getting Matt Milano back. So now they're starting to get healthy too. Whenever it comes down to it, the captain of their defense in the middle linebacker there, he's going to be there. If Matt Milano doesn't necessarily, he's not a big name on that defense, but you'd be surprised how much getting that guy who calls all your shots and is the captain of your defense, how much it means to a team. It's going to be crazy. I think Buffalo has what it takes to get done on offense. The one thing that concerns me is their rushing game. Their rushing game has always been a question mark all season. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, TJ Yeldon, nothing to be excited about by any means. If you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you know exactly what you need to address in the draft. But whenever it comes down to it, their defense honestly has played very well. They got bailed out of that Colts game. It's true, but they won. At the end of the day, it's not about how much you win by or anything like that. And even if it is, Chiefs haven't beat a team by double digits since week 8. Chiefs have played single-digit football since week 8. And so if it's about how much you're winning by, talking about the Buffalo Bills team beat a Miami Dolphins team fighting for a playoff spot in week 17 with their backups in half the game and dropped 56. This is a team that's ridiculous, and they're absolutely crazy when it comes to offense. It's just they have no limit, and neither do the Chiefs. But right now, you have a limit because Pat Mahomes is banged up. I can tell you it's not going to be the same offense that you're used to seeing. I think it'll be a lower scoring affair on the Chiefs side of things, and I think no matter if Mahomes is there or not, I think he's just too banged up and he's not going to be able to hold his own like he normally does. He'll still get his stuff done. He'll get his stats, but it's not going to be a Mahomes type of performance. This defense is not like a lot of other teams. It's not going to be that game where some of his bad passes don't get picked off. The Bills will make you pay for it. We saw it happen against in Baltimore. We saw them get shut down to only 3 points. This defense is legit. It's just, are they going to be there? Are they not? They've been there for the playoffs so far. I have no reason to believe they're not going to be there. I'm taking Buffalo Bills to the Super Bowl.
Well,
what's up?
They gave up over 300 yards in 2 games on the ground. What run defense are you talking about?
Dude, you'd be surprised.
No. I love Ed Oliver. Trust me, I love the guys you're saying. But over 300 yards in 2 games on run, you talking about run defense? I love those guys you're talking
right
about.
Now, okay, you're talking.
They're not stopping no run.
You said the last 2 games, right?
Yes.
Last game they faced Lamar Jackson and J.K. Dobbins. Okay, what team do they not run for 300? That's all they do.
You're right.
And then before that, they faced Jonathan Taylor, who's probably the second hottest running back in the NFL right now.
Okay.
Behind Cam Akers, they're going to run. Obviously, they're going to run.
The Chiefs going to put up 130. They put up $110 against the Browns.
Running backs running for $130 on the Buffalo.
No. As a team. I'm talking about as a team. As a player, Lamar didn't put up 150. They did that as a unit. As a team, I'm seeing Williams. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire is healthy, you're giving me Tyreek. If there's no Mahomes, Tyreek Hill's going to get some running plays. You talking about Le'Veon Bell? They're going to run for $150. And I'm not disagreeing with you saying I like the Bills. I like those defensive players. I'm saying from what I've seen, they cannot stop a team from running the ball. Andy Reid and his offensive coordinator, I know they're going to take advantage of that. And they have better weapons than the Colts. They have Chad Henne and Phillip Rivers are looking like the same quarterback right now. So if Phillip Rivers can go to a team, side of the field 9 times, I believe Chad Henne and his weapons can. I think it's going to be a close game. And I love the Buffalo Bills. They have playmakers. But this defense has been worse than what it was last year. In the playoffs, they made plays against the pass, but they definitely not stopping no run.
Yeah, the regular season game, Edwards-Helaire, I think he ran for like 161.
He busted him.
And it really kind of – but we'll see. Playoffs are a different animal, though.
For sure.
It's a different season.
Edwards-Helaire hasn't been in weeks.
Yeah,
and that's true too. So you talk about when you get to the playoffs, it's a 3 or 4 game regular season, a season, and you got it's different. It's definitely different. The stakes are high, players rise to the occasion, some shrink. So we'll see. Definitely. It won't shock me if the Bills win. It wouldn't shock me majorly at all. I just think somehow they'll pull it out. The Chiefs will.
I say this. It would shock me less if Patrick Mahomes is not playing, but even Patrick Mahomes banged up, I feel like he could stand in the pocket and make some throws. But hot take, I see Diggs going for 130, 140. He their only weapon. They're gonna go back. Listen, what you have to do against them, come stop it. And I feel like Diggs gonna fry.
Well, I mean, Cole Beasley get it in too.
Oh no, don't. Yeah, Cole Beasley gets it in. But I believe you, he gets it in. But Diggs gonna snap because instead of running the ball they're gonna pass. Cole Beasley not open, he's gonna look to Diggs, say make a play, and I feel like that's going to happen a lot against the Chiefs. And I think it's going to work up until the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be a 3-point game regardless of who wins.
That's fair.
Fair enough. I mean, whenever I looked at the regular season stats too, whenever going into this game, the Bills currently ranked 17th at the end of the regular season, 17th in rushing defense, while the Chiefs ranked 21st. And so that's a little bit concerning for me too. The Bills also rank higher than them in passing defense as well. The Bills ranked, I want to say 15th, while the Chiefs ranked 18th. Mm-hmm. And so overall, obviously 2 explosive offenses. The offense is not going to be the problem in this game. But it's just with Pat Mahomes banged up, Clyde Edwards-Helaire banged up, maybe not even in this game. We don't even know. It still could be Damian Williams and Le'Veon Bell getting some here and there spot carries. But if you're giving me a healthy Buffalo Bills team who on paper, from a statistics standpoint, have been better on the defensive side of things and about equivalent on the offensive side of things versus a Chiefs team that played that way in the regular season, but now take away their quarterback and their running back, I'm taking the Bills, and I'm also, even if you give me Pat Mahomes, he's not going to be 100%. I can promise you in that game, he is not going to be 100%. He may play like it. He may put up some numbers. Like I said, if he's there, he's going to get his, but I'll ultimately still stick with the Bills. I think they're going to find a way to Super Bowl. But that's the AFC matchup. So flip flip the coin over to the NFC matchup. We went from the youth movement to the relics from the quarterback position. Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, the Bucks versus the Packers in Lambeau Field. Someone's got to go. Con Man, I'll turn it over to you. Who do you have representing the NFC in the Super Bowl?
Well, this is the game everybody wants to see. Two old guys going at it again. This is going to be a great game. But they're playing in Lambeau Field. The weather's going to be cold. Green Bay got that bad man. I think this is Aaron Rodgers' year. I think he's going to be MVP of the regular season. I think he's going to be MVP of the Super Bowl. I got them going to the Super Bowl, and they're definitely going to beat Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think Tom Brady might be going off into the sunset.
Oof. All right. Coach Cam, I'll turn it over to you. Who's your NFC rep for the Super Bowl?
The last time these teams played, Tampa really beat them up, 38-13, and they didn't look good, and it's this little battle going on between Sue and Rodgers that's been going on for years in the NFC North with the Lions as carried over now to the Buccaneers. Tom Brady is hot. I can't bet against him. I'm not going to bet against Tom Brady. I'm not going to do it. I refuse to do it. People have learned. People have learned the hard way to bet against Tom Brady, and I'm not going to be the one to do it. I got Tom Brady. He's finding some kind of way to pull this out. Now, remember, it is cold, but, he played in New England for his whole career and had to battle in the AFC Championship in that cold weather for years. I understand not the rest of the team, but it's the NFC. It's the NFC title game. Forget what weather it is. You got to come out here and be ready to go,
Right.
and be ready. It's one shot for you to live a dream, and you got to go out here and give it your all. So I got Tampa winning a close one. I got Tampa winning like a 23-20 type of game, 24-21 type of game. But I got Tampa winning.
All right, Chris Brown, turn it over to you. 1-1 split so far. We got one saying Packers, one saying Bucks. Split us up, man. Be the difference maker.
Man, I'll be honest, Coach Cam. I haven't learned. Every time I bet against Tom, I win that money. 4 words for y'all. I'm betting against Tom. It sucks for me to say this. It sucks. But this is not the same Tom Brady we've been used to a couple years back where he'll really beat you with his arm. If y'all watch that Saints game, it said he has 0 interceptions. And it's all about what you didn't do. But, man, he threw 2 picks. The Saints just didn't capitalize. For me, he's in the category of Breeze, Roethlisberger, Rivers. Their arm isn't the same as what it used to be. Now, Drew Brees is way worse than all those guys. He won't throw for 20 yards. Brady will take his shots, but his accuracy is spotty. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. I think this is going to be a great game, but my money's on Rodgers. And it sucks for me to say this because these are 2 teams that I've been saying will make it this far since the beginning of the year. I've been saying the Bucks are going to make it this far as soon as they sign Tom Brady because I knew how good they were last year. I think this is going to be a shootout, kind of how like the Cardinals and the Packers were years back. I think this game is going to be like 35-38. I'm looking to see a great game, but at the end of the day, I feel like Tom Brady will make the mistakes. Aaron Rodgers won't make the mistakes. I think defenses are also going to play a crucial part. Bucks on paper, had played like a very, very good defense. When they played the Packers in the regular season, they were a very, very good defense. I think the Packers, last week they're showing, okay, forget all that. We're soft stuff. We're going to win in the trenches. I think they're going to try to do the same thing this year. I'm going Green Bay, man. I'm going, and none of y'all take my advice. And if they lose, blame me. I'm telling you what I'm doing. But if you do take my advice and we win, then you better praise me. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, give me Green Bay.
Coach Cam had hit home that it's going to be a cold weather game, and so did Con Man. Tom Brady played in New England. Gronkowski played in New England.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio Brown played in Pittsburgh and in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
College. We're looking at Ali Marpet, their offensive guard, played college ball in New York. We're looking at some other names. Vita Vea played in Washington. Shaq Barrett played in Nebraska. Our Colorado State. Levante David played in Nebraska. Sue played in Nebraska. It gets cold there, folks. Okay, I understand that there may be Chris Godwin. Forgot about Chris Godwin. Played at Penn State.
Delaware guy.
Exactly. So it Delaware guy over there can tell you it gets cold over there, huh? Is it nice and warm outside right now? Not at all. I can tell you that right now. So I don't even think, unless it is ridiculous snow outside, I don't think weather's a factor in this game. I don't think the only person on the Bucs roster that I'm even a little bit concerned about when it comes to weather being an issue in this game is Mike Evans. Mike Evans is a kid from Texas A&M, went on to go play pro football in Tampa Bay. That's what I'm a little bit concerned about. But everybody else, it's not like they don't have the weapons. It's not like their defense can't make it happen. We saw their defense shut out Mike Thomas to no catches and no yards. And this is their number one guy apparently. This is a guy who somebody had the audacity to come out here and say he could be the number one receiver in the NFL right now. This is a guy that is just their defense is playing different. And I think whenever Tom Brady is in your locker room, you are forced to rise to the occasion. And I think you just play on a different level because you understand the greatness you have in your locker room right now. I saw some of the post-game videos from Devin White and some of the other players from when they were in the locker room just celebrating that game. I saw the way that they looked against the Saints. This team is better than people think. And that's scary because people know how good of a team they are. I'm saying for the first time in Super Bowl history, you're getting a home team that's hosting the game in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady is going to take them to the Super Bowl. I think we're looking at Bucs Bills for my Super Bowl. I need it. I need to watch that. That would be my favorite matchup. I need to see because I know how crazy Tampa people are. I lived there for 12 years. I know how crazy Buffalo Bills fans are there. I've seen 12 years of videos of them jumping through tables. It's ridiculous. It would be the most absurd fan base combination probably of all time. Whenever we saw them face off in Week 9, the one thing Aaron Rodgers is known for is that amazing offensive line. Well, guess what? He got popped in the mouth 5 times, and that's just sacks. Not even to talk about quarterback hits or pressures or anything like that. That's 5 times he got brought down, and not to mention every other time he got hit afterwards. And that was without Vita Vea. This week, they could potentially get Vita Vea back, and next to him, Ndamukong Suh, Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett. I mean, they're all coming at you. And not to mention that their offensive line right now is hurt. They're missing people. Right now, they just lost a running back last week. They still have Aaron Jones, but he's a little banged up too. So it's a matter of time. And I think right now you saw that defense play on a whole nother level against the Saints. They won the game in New Orleans. It wasn't Tom Brady. It wasn't the offense. And the offense is what's supposed to be scary about them. But their defense made it happen. And ultimately, that's enough for me. I saw what they've done. I've seen Tom Brady too many times. I'm like Coach Cam. I don't go against number 12 in the playoffs. I can't. Regular season, maybe we can talk. But whenever we're talking playoffs, I can't go up against Tom Brady. I am going Bills Bucs for my Super Bowl.
Trust it. The last 2 times I bet against Tom Brady, I won big money.
I'm sure you did.
I won big money, especially with my Eagles. Yeah, we did.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You
then
was
the
going against them anyway with the Eagles. That don't count.
But this last year with the Patriots, I picked the Titans.
Get them bags, Chris. I'm telling you.
Hey, I don't care how you get your money. I hope you get your money. But, like, I would never put money against them.
Can we all – I think we can all stand on this is going to – I think this, for me, I think this is going to be a great game. And there are 2 great games. The young quarterbacks, if we hope Patrick Mahomes play because we want to see the Chiefs at their best. But the young quarterbacks going against the old-timers, even though Aaron Rodgers not that old, but I mean, compared to the other 2 guys, the old timers. And we're finally get to see Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady going against each other in a meaningful game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not changing my answer, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucs won because I've been believing them all year.
I saw a stat that with this last win, Drew Brees and Tom Brady have the same amount of wins against NFC teams in their playoff career. Keep in mind, Drew Brees was in the NFC.
Brees is a bum.
Tom Brady has been in the NFC for 1 season.
That's crazy.
Ridiculous. They both have 8 wins against NFC teams in the playoffs. Crazy to think about.
Bum. He's not a bum, but that just goes to show you how great Tom Brady is. Because 6 of those wins came when it matters most.
Yep. Exactly. That's what's crazy to think about. But all right. In ASAP fashion, there's always 3 names to rank. There's always a group of people to rate 1 through 3. We're just going to stick with the wide receiver group here, and we've got some of the greatest to ever do it. We've got.
Can I go last? I just want to stay. I need to go last. I don't want to start off on this. This is too scary.
We've got number 85 and Chad Ochocinco, Chad Johnson. We also have Brandon Marshall, a guy who was quite underrated in his time in the NFL, honestly. Not talked about enough. And one of the staples of Peyton Manning's career, Reggie Wayne. 1 through 3, I need a ranking. Coach Cam, because Chris Brown deferred, I have to come to you. I need a 1 through 3 list. Ochocinco, Reggie Wayne, Brandon Marshall.
I mean, really, honestly, looking at this, I really didn't even pull up no stats because I'm full blown biased. Number one don't even that wasn't even a discussion, or even thought, a thought of mine. But honestly, number 1 for me, is Chad. It's Chad Ochocinco. I look at his numbers, man. 766 receptions, 1,100 yards, 67 touchdowns. This dude, if you look at it, Reggie Wayne, Brandon Marshall, they got the stats. But if you look at the prime of the career, 6-time Pro Bowlers, all 3 of them. Chad Ochocinco was a 2-time All-Pro compared to their 1. In the prime, Chad Johnson led the AFC in receiving 4 straight years. Meanwhile, that's where you had a Marvin Harrison, a Reggie Wayne. He competing up against a Brandon Marshall, those type of things. To me, the flair he brought to the game, clearly, or to me, in my eyes, the best route runner to ever play the position. For me, honestly, you turned on the TV. You wanted to see what Chad was going, if he was going to get in the end zone and what he was going to do next, whether you like the Bengals or not. And for me, that's number 1. Number 2, I got Brandon Marshall. No disrespect to Reggie Wayne, but Brandon Marshall made Jay Cutler a very rich man. Also, Brandon Marshall has played and made Ryan Fitzpatrick look like a Pro Bowler. This is where, this guy has gotten his stats with quarterbacks that we've questioned on numerous occasions and that we pretty much, kind of shoved to the side. So that's number 2 for me. Reggie Wayne is 3, no disrespect, but you play with Peyton Manning for most of your career, and then you get lucky, and then you get luck towards the end. I mean, you just can't get much better than that. And then you play with the Hall of Famer with Reggie Wayne that's relieving pressure. I mean, no disrespect, but I've seen Chad and Brandon do it. Just did it more. And I think Chad did it with more flash. So it's 1 Chad for me, Brandon 2, Reggie 3.
Okay. I'll go ahead and go next because we got to get to Chris Brown last. He's already called for it. So, and Coach Cam, I'm just going to follow you up because I'm right there with you with Chad Johnson at number 1. Whenever you bust out the tape, I mean, the guy was the most electrifying and entertaining wide receiver of his era. I mean, whenever, like Coach Cam said, whenever you were a kid, especially me, I grew up whenever he was in the prime of his career. And so I remember some of my first football watching was Chad Johnson running routes and doing all that. And it was entertaining to me. And I'm, like you said, I'm not a Bengals fan. I never grew up sitting there watching, Chad Johnson. I'm going to be a Bengals fan. I got to watch them. But no, but if he's on TV, I'm keeping an eye on him. He was always doing something. And so, and not to mention, trash talk game was ridiculous. I mean, right. Whenever
they sent a bottle of Pepto-Bismol to the Browns. You know what I mean?
Not good. And so whenever it's like that there's an art in trash talking. There really is. Chris Brown had mentioned that in the group chat because of how much crap I'm talking in the group chat about these debates. There's an art to it. And, it really can throw off psyches of certain players, and that's exactly what Chad Johnson did. Ridiculous and very entertaining to watch. The stats aren't there, but the game tape is whenever you were sitting there watching it. And honestly, that guy's still in phenomenal shape. At his age right now, he could probably jump in and be a third-tier receiver on some teams at his age. He's psycho for his age. He just, unfortunately, career cut a little bit short. But whenever I'm looking at number 2, I have to go Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne, shout out Reggie Wayne. Sorry, but you weren't even the best receiver on your team. But he was still a phenomenal receiver at that. You know, whenever it comes down to it, the only reason I'm putting him above Brandon, I think he does more when it comes to route running. He's a little bit more of a complete receiver. Whenever Brandon Marshall got later on in his career, the injuries kind of held him back, and he became more of the high point guy. By the time he got out of Chicago and was there with the Jets and doing everything on the tail end of his career with Seattle, it just kind of fizzled out. And the stats may be there, but it just watching him on tape, it wasn't the same. You know, Brandon Marshall in his prime was electric to watch. I got to catch a couple of years of it in Chicago. And you want to talk about terrible quarterbacks he played with. He ran with Jay Cutler for a little bit and Caleb Haney. So trust me, I understand what it's like for a terrible quarterback to make a receiver look great. Or maybe vice versa, I should say. A great receiver make a terrible quarterback look decent. But yeah, I still have to put Brandon Marshall at 2. I don't know if I could. I can't push him just enough over Reggie Wayne. But I still think Brandon Marshall needs his respect. I don't think a lot of people put respect on his name like they should. A very underrated career, really, when you look at it. I didn't realize how close he was numerically and statistically to all these other receivers. So when I saw that name on there, I was like, what? But then, you know, I look at the numbers. I mean, he's not far off. So, man, I'll turn it over to you. Ocho Cinco, Reggie Wayne, and Brandon Marshall. What are your rankings for that?
Man, this is a tough one. This is really tough. 3 great wide receivers. I think Reggie Wayne was a more celebrated one. I think Ocho was a more flamboyant one. And out of the 3, I think Brandon was the more quieter one. But his numbers speak for themselves. His numbers were ridiculous. 970 receptions, 12,351 yards. I think, you know, Reggie Wayne played with a lot better quarterback, obviously, but tough call. I think if I had to really break it down, I probably would go. I'm gonna go Brandon Marshall number 1. I'm gonna go Reggie Wayne number 2 and Ocho number 3. Sorry about that, Cam.
Hey, it's all good. Hey, it's all good. Hey, you can't go wrong.
And I based
no wrong answer here.
I based that a little bit too on longevity. I based it on longevity. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm putting everything together. Who I'd rather see play? Ocho, without doubt. Because you never know what was going to happen game after game. Reggie Wayne was more of like I said, more celebrated because look who he played with. Brandon Marshall played on some terrible teams. And you got to give him, you know, with his mental issues, you got to give him some credit for that. But, yeah, I'm going to stick to what I got.
All right, Chris Brown, I can only put you off for so long. You got to give me a tier ranking. You know, we got these 3 names. Where do you rank them?
I just wanted to hear y'all go, man, because y'all set the stage for me, and y'all said a lot of key things. You know, for me, number 1, I'm going Ocho. I'm going Ocho because you look at him compared to the other 2 guys. He wasn't getting targeted like those 2 guys. If he was, you know, get past in a pass-happy offense, you know, like Reggie Wayne and like some of the years Brandon Marshall was in, you know, he'd have those same stats. It's not better. Correct me if I'm wrong, Coach Cam. Y'all was like a 50-50 offense. Y'all had leading running backs.
Yeah, we had Rudy Johnson who ran for 1,400 yards back-to-back years, and then you had Dylan as well. So, yeah.
And then, you know, Brandon Marshall was always the number 1, you know, getting targeted 150, 170, 180 times. There was multiple wide receivers on the Bengals. You know, shout out to Reggie Wayne for his, you know, longevity, you know, but he, like Coach Cam said, the quarterbacks. For me right now, I'm going Ocho Cinco number 1. What he did on the field, off the field, he was a pure beast. You know, no disrespect to none of these guys. Number 2, I'm going Brandon Marshall, though. He reminds me, you know, of starting out a career kind of like how D-Hop had. But D-Hop got Deshaun Watson, you know, but Kyler Murray. I feel like, you know, if Brandon Marshall would end up with a top quarterback, you know, he, you know, have a better career, he make it to the playoffs. And like I said earlier, a wide receiver, it's hard to, determine if your team's going to make it to the playoffs or not, because he's one of the best wide receivers in the game, yet he never made a playoff. Is that his fault? You can't say that when he's dominating his position. So postseason success, I'm not really judging that on this. Number 3, I have Reggie Wayne, not taking anything away from him. You're looking at route running. I mean, I got Ocho 1, but Reggie Wayne's top 4 to me when it comes to route running. He wasn't that fast, wasn't that strong, wasn't athletic, but he always found a way to get open. He did play with Peyton. He did play with Marvin Harrison, but he did his job. There was a lot of good wide receivers that played with great quarterbacks, and they didn't translate. He had great years. He has great numbers. He's a future Hall of Famer, just like all 3 of these guys should be, but that's my list. Ocho, Brandon, and then Reggie Wayne coming in at number 3.
Okay. All right, fellas, we got to transition, turn the page over to the NBA. Only got a couple of topics here, so we're going to keep it rather short whenever it comes to the NBA topics today. Had some good ones for the NFL, but we still got to get our basketball in there. So hot takes like we always start with. Actually, before we do that, Chris Brown, we got some lovely people watching live. Why don't you tell us what they could be doing if they're interacting with us in the show?
Man, that's what I'm saying. Thank you, everybody, for watching the show today. Thank you for all the support. We do something here on ASAP called Viewer of the Month. I see y'all in the comments. Keep commenting. Make sure you like the page, share the page. You like the video, share the video. At the end of the month, we tally everything up. And the person that does that the most is crowned Viewer of the Month. And that Viewer of the Month gets their very own ASAP Network t-shirt.
There you go. Don't forget, go ahead and message one of us. Maybe you're listening to the audio version. Maybe you're not able to catch it live. Maybe you're a little too shy of the comments section. You can go ahead, reach out to one of us or anybody on the network, $14.99 plus shipping and handling, and we'll get you your very own ASAP Network t-shirt as well. Mm-hmm. Already see a couple people in there. I see Madison down there, the reigning the Viewer of the Month back in December. Kendall Lum ended up winning it the month before that. Saw Brandon Herrera as a former Viewer of the Month. He's on the network, man. It's some good shirts, man. Good quality stuff. So, all right, let's jump into the NBA. Hot takes, like always. Got to start off. Chris Brown, I'm coming right back to you. Hot take for the NBA. Let's hear it.
Now, I'll be honest. I have like a whole bunch of hot takes that I want to say. I'm going to save this one for Monday. But, after the game we just saw, I think it's only right that I bring this up. Giannis Antetokounmpo isn't a top 5 player in the NBA, ladies and gentlemen. He's not. I'm taking LeBron over him. I'm taking Embiid over him. I'm taking Jokic over him. I'm taking Luka over him. Taking Kawhi over him. Taking KD over him. Taking Harden over him. Everybody wants to talk about Ben Simmons with no jump shot. It's not like Giannis is the best shooter. Giannis also had 9 turnovers. We've seen what Giannis do in the regular season, has no success in the playoffs. When looking at this Bucks team, I don't think they're getting past the second round again this year. Why? Because I love Jrue Holiday. It's not Jrue Holiday's fault. But this coach wants to play his bench, but now he has no bench. So what's going to happen? Because in the playoffs, I'll tell you, your bench wins you 1 or 2 games each playoff series. Last year, the Lakers didn't have the greatest bench, but it won them games against the Rockets, and it won the games against Miami. When I look at this bench for Milwaukee, they have no bench this year, and that troubles me. Because a coach, even when he was at Atlanta, he always wanted to play his bench. Always wanted to play his bench. But he's getting no scoring from his bench. None whatsoever. So I question their bench. When I look at their star players, I like Dante, another Delaware guy. Is he going to be consistent? Chris Middleton has to score more than 20. So it's a lot of questions towards this team. And my hot take is that for everybody out there, Giannis won't win MVP. For everybody out there, he's not a top 5 player. For everybody out there, they're not making it past the second round. Stop the hype on the Milwaukee Bucks, because they stop saying they're the team to beat in the East when they never even made it out the East. But stop the cat.
All right. Giannis not a top 5 player in the NBA. Crazy to think about a 2-time MVP back-to-back not being top 5. But you heard it here first. Conman, I'll turn it over to you. Hot take for the NBA.
My hot take is, will there be an NBA? With the COVID situation right now, all the teams, the protocol, teams are not being able to play. Washington missed 6 games, and, teams are being affected by this COVID situation. So we can talk about NBA all we want, but if this COVID thing kicks in and, if it becomes a fatality or something like that, we may not even have an NBA season any longer. So that's my hot take.
COVID taking over the NBA and shutting it down. Coach Cam, hot take for the NBA. Let's hear it.
Hot take is kind of like for the future, but I think within the next maybe next year or maybe I say the next 2 years you'll see the Cleveland Cavaliers as a top five East team. I'm very high on Colin Sexton. I've always been, um, and he showed last night what he can do. When he gets in the zone. Um, I think they got plans to move out Drummond. I think they got plans to move out possibly Kevin Love or something like that. I really do. To make some sure, I just think that's gonna happen because they brought Jared Allen in. But I do see them. They have a good culture going with JB Bickerstaff. A lot of people used him as his interim coach, but never really gave him the opportunity to be successful and to really to give him a chance. And he's getting the chance, and he's getting these guys to fight. I mean, they really had COVID issues too. They had a lot of issues going on. Sexton was out, um, Garland's still out, and they were playing with like 7, 8 guys. But they were out there fighting. They were out there fighting, still playing hard, staying in games. That says a lot to me, about the culture that they're trying to build there. And I think eventually they'll get some pieces in there to compete in the East.
Coach Cam, I agree with you 1,000%. Me and you been saying the Cavs, and we've been loving JB Bickerstaff and Colin Sexton. But Will, before you go, I have to address this a comment.
Mhm.
Okay, you realize that was his first time ever beating the Sixers. He shuts down the Sixers. He's 1-6 against my Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid takes a poop and wipes it up with Andre Drummond. So don't tell me that he shuts down the Sixers, because the only time he beat the Sixers is really without Embiid. Embiid gives him 27 every time. So don't tell me he shuts down the Sixers. I'm not trying to hear that, John. I love you. Thank you for commenting, but I don't like that. You see the banner behind me? Don't do it.
Tell you what. I'm going to talk about a team that's underperforming a little bit, and my hot take involves a player from that team getting moved. I don't think we see Zach LaVine on the Bulls at the trade deadline. I think he's going to get moved, and Chris Brown's looking at one of those teams that I could see going after him. I think Zach LaVine is a shooting guard, a very serviceable shooting guard that could do great on a lot of teams as a starting 2 or maybe even as a 6th man if your team's deep like that. Obviously, Zach LaVine would be a great position to have a shooting guard on a lot of teams, but there are some contending teams right now that could still use one. There you go. Chris Brown's pointing at one of them right now. And so there's a couple of teams, and we've already seen quite a few big names get moved this season. We've seen Russell Westbrook. We've seen James Harden. We've seen Victor Oladipo get moved. Karis LeVert. There's a lot of names that could be on the move, and I think Zach LaVine's going to add his name to this list of I would say bigger name players finding their way on different teams this season. So look for Zach LaVine to get moved at the trade deadline away from the Chicago Bulls.
Come to Philly, Zach. Bye, Tobias.
There you go. I mean, Chris has made his take on that idea. So let's talk about obviously the biggest news in the NBA, the Big Three, the new Big Three out in Brooklyn. They finally played their first game all together, ended up ultimately losing the game in overtime, if I'm not mistaken, double overtime to the Cleveland Cavaliers. But, I mean, the stats were there. Let's just talk about it. How do you guys think they looked for their first game together? Coach Cam, I'll turn it over to you. How are you feeling with the Big Three out in Brooklyn?
They'll be fine. I thought, everybody up in arms because they lost to, the Cleveland Cavaliers, but it didn't bother me. I wanted to see how things will flow. Obviously, Harden is going to be the distributor. He's going to be the one that's going to take the less shots and get everyone involved. It looks like, it's going to take a little minute. But my concern is not about how the Big Three looks. It's going to be, can they get a bench together? Can they go out and get some guys that can give them quality minutes? Like I look at a person that's just been waived, like a Alex Lynn. Like they need to go out. They need to get on the phone with him, relatively quickly. I'm looking at some possibly some wing players that they could possibly get as well. So, you know, uh, the big three's fine. You know, it's just the rest of that roster has to shape for them. They have to get some free agents in there. Like I said, Alex Lynn will be the first person I'll call to back up DeAndre Jordan. I'll try to, it's guys out there like even somebody like a Marco Bellinelli. You know, if you want to go shooter crazy, you still have free agents like waiters and stuff like. I mean, you got players that you can go out there and go get that's better than what you have right now on that roster. Because KD, even if it's double overtime, him off an Achilles playing 50 minutes is not ideal.
I'm kind of right there with you, honestly. Whenever I was looking at it, and the whole team concerns me after the big three. Whenever you look at the stats from the big three, I mean, they did their thing. All three of them did their thing. James Harden did a great job. I want to say, what was it, triple double, or was it another double double? Triple double. So he was right up there. I know 20 some points, about 10 assists. Just looking absolutely phenomenal. Really, Kyrie and KD combined them there. I want to say went off for 30 plus a piece. They did their thing again, but whenever you're looking at it, like you said, Coach Cam, I mean, 50 minutes from Jordan and KD, and we're looking at bench players getting about 11 in a double overtime game. I mean, it's kind of concerning. Whenever you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers in that game, they were really spread out, especially from a point standpoint. A lot of players, I want to say 7 or 8 different players getting 10 plus. So Chris Brown is excited. He caught something on the setup. What just happened, my man?
Elfrid Payton just made Steph Curry lay back like he was on the beach. What was that, Elfrid Payton? Yo, Steph Curry made him fall. Steph Curry was like this. Oh, my God. Steph Curry just got dropped. Oh, my God.
Steph got dropped?
Steph got dropped.
He always get dropped.
But yeah, no, I think the big three is doing mighty fine. I think they're going to be just. I was kind of blown away that a lot of people said it wasn't going to work. They look like they're playing just fine. They're gelling good. Con man, you agreeing with me, or what are your opinions on the big three? How they look?
They did just what we thought they were going to do. You know what I mean? We all need to pump the brakes, man. Small sample size. They only play one game. They haven't had the chemistry gelling yet. And as you know, they're probably going to make some moves. There's some people out there, like Coach Cam said, there's some guys out there who can, be good role players. They still got Tyson Chandler out there. He's available. He could be somebody that can, give him spot minutes, be a rim protector. Guys like that, are still available. The Nets are going to be fine. I think they went into that game, feeling that they, because Cleveland had the worst offensive percentages in the league. And they figured they were going to go in there with an easy win. And I think they got kind of got shocked, and then they didn't play up to their capability. But they play again tomorrow night. You watch how much they change. Watch how good they play tomorrow night. And I don't think Mr. Sexton's going to go off like he did last night, although he did play a great game. But there's nothing to worry about. And that's going to be fine.
Chris Brown, you, big three. What were your thoughts?
All I said, key things I just want to touch on real quick. One, it was their first game playing together. But I said, before the trade go down, if Harden gets trades there, he's going to be the main ball handler. He's the best playmaker. He's the best ball handler. He's the best playmaker. He's the best distributor. He's the best anything with the ball in his hands, making everybody around him better. And you look at KD, you look at Kyrie, they're going to be able to get there. As you got two guys, the defense shift towards who you going to leave open. Like if you try and trap James Harden, if you try to double team James Harden, help off a pick and roll, he's kicking the shooters. The problem isn't the big three, it's the bench help. Coach Cam talked about it. He named some guys. I'm looking at guys like Trevor Ariza for some defense, guys like Isaiah Thomas, a main ball handler off the bench. Because you look at their bench points, I mean, they had 10 bench points compared to the Cavaliers' 44. That's a problem. I don't ever expect Joe Harris to ever shoot 2 for 7 from the three-point line again. But all those other players, Timothy Luwalu, 0 for 6, he probably going to have games like that. Bruce Brown didn't even put up a shot. He's supposed to be a good defender. He was nowhere to be found. Perry, to me, is garbage, I'll be honest. The only guy they have I like coming off their bench is Joe Harris. And then Larry Shamet, the second guy, didn't even play. So they need to look at everything when it comes to the bench. But the big three is fine. That's not the problem. I'm curious to see how they're going to play tomorrow against them, see if anything's going to change, if the team defense is going to be better. But, Conman said Collins not going to go off. Colin Sexton's averaging a career high of 27. I think he's still going to get his, but I think, it's going to be another close game, to be honest, because the Cavaliers are a top 6 defense right now. They're a top 6 defense, and you got Andre Drummond that's probably going to go off again. So I think it's going to be a good game, but I think the big three, that's not the problem. It's everybody around the big three is the problem, especially that bench.
We'll see how it plays out, but honestly, whenever you have those three players and you're facing a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm sure you'd expect to win. Obviously, their first game together, but we're all kind of saying pump the brakes a little bit. Don't get too worked up in a loss like that. I think we're all in kind of agreement that they're going to be fine down the road if they can find some role players to step in. So let's talk about a team so far that hasn't necessarily reached our expectations. What team has been disappointing so far? Chris Brown, you look excited to talk. I'm going to go right back to you.
Honestly, this is one of my hot takes, but screw it. I'm saying it now. The Toronto Raptors are one of the worst teams right now in the NBA at 5-9. Everybody were telling me that, Pascal Siakam's such this good player. Right now, he's not even as good as Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant's looking better than him. Him and Jeremy Grant really the same player. Yeah, Pascal Siakam got third team All NBA last year, which makes 0 sense. Pascal Siakam's overrated. He's not your star guy for the future. Fran VanVleet is good, but he's not great. He's not a CJ McCollum type of a player. Kyle Lowry is getting older. I mean, this team, their bench is a question mark. They have no center. They signed Banks, think he was going to be the answer. He's not the answer. Boucher is good, but is he playing starter minutes? Will he be the starter? Who knows? The Raptors aren't playing up to expectations. To me, I'm blowing it up. Taking Coach Cam words, I'm blowing it up. Kyle Lowry's only get older. Hot take. I was going to save it for Monday, but hot take. If I'm the Clippers, I'm calling them up. Give me Kyle Lowry. If I'm the Clippers, give me Kyle Lowry. That's your point guard. That's your floor general. He could play some defense. If you can make it work, I'm making it work. Go ahead, give me Kyle Lowry. If I'm anybody else that got some good star players, I'll take a Siakam. Because I'll tell you, this team, they need to start rebuilding. Because Siakam's not a true number one. Fran VanVleet is good, not great. I'd rather have him in a 6-man. Lowry's only getting older. Boucher is good. OG Anunoby is good. But it's not a championship team. This is not a team I don't expect getting out the first round this year. The Raptors, they're playing just like how I thought they would going into the year. I was skeptical even, saying they make the playoffs. Right now, it's looking like they won't. The Raptors are very, very disappointed for a lot of people, but for me, I knew what happened. They trashed. They need to blow it up before it's too late.
Toronto Raptors for Chris Brown. Conman, I'll turn it over to you. What team has been disappointing you so far this season?
I would say Toronto, but given what they have to go through, I mean, not having a home court advantage, playing, out of the country, dealing, not sleeping in their own beds, things of that nature. I would normally go with them, but I'm going to go with Miami Heat. Miami Heat right now, they're 6-7, the 10th in the Eastern Conference. I think, coming off last year's efforts, I figured I was expect a little bit more from them. But then again, they're being hit with the COVID bug. Avery Bradley and Butler is out right now. But Miami Heat, definitely 6-7. Again, the 10th in the Eastern Conference. And then you got to go with the Dallas Mavericks. 7-7, 9th in the Western Conference. So those would be my two, but if I had to go with the top one, it'd be probably Miami Heat.
All righty, Miami Heat for Conman. Coach Cam, I just heard your team mentioned. Are you along the same lines? Do you have somebody else? Where are you sitting with the most disappointing team?
I'm a little disappointed with my Mavericks at 7-7. Obviously, that's not ideal. Coming off of the season we had last year. But the more disappointing team to me is the Denver Nuggets. They're 6-7 as well, not playing well. It's like Jokic is doing his thing. But I look at, Jamal Murray, he's not the bubble Jamal Murray that what we've been getting. They lost a lot of pieces. Jeremy Grant, all of a sudden, he looked like, he looked like he Kobe or somebody. So when you look at the Nuggets, you expected them to be one of the big challengers to the Lakers. You expect them to get off to a relatively high start. Same coach, same nucleus for the most part. You expect them to get rolling quicker. You don't expect them to, start off 6-7. with the pieces that they have. So that's a disappointing team for me.
I knew I should have went before you. I also had the Denver Nuggets when I looked at it. This was a team that whenever I was a frequent on Real Talk, that was the kind of where I was leaning whenever I talked about the Denver Nuggets a lot. I never actually picked a team, but Denver Nuggets were a team that really enticed me between Jokic and Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and everybody else. I know Michael Porter Jr. currently has COVID. Hopefully get him back soon, but this, like Coach Cam said, you expect this team to do a lot better. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, I think I took a look at their schedule, and if I have all the records right, they only have one win against a team over 500 right now, and that's the Golden State Warriors. That needs to change. that definitely needs to change if you're going to be a team that's going to contend. You can't be happy with mediocrity. You might as well, if you're not going to be one of the best, you might as well be one of the worst. It's not going to be fun sitting there, currently sitting at the 10th seed in the Western Conference. And that's not where anybody expected the Denver Nuggets to be. I'd imagine everybody had high hopes for this team coming into it, expected them to be a top contender in the Western Conference, like Coach Cam said, battling the Lakers. And now they're just kind of sitting right now in mediocrity, just in average. And they're not doing anything spectacular. Yeah, Jokic is getting his, but everybody else is kind of falling short right now. And it's just not – it's not exciting. It's not an exciting time, at least early on in this season for the Denver Nuggets. But season is we're still only a couple weeks in. You got time to turn it around. It is still early at the end of the day. Granted, if Con Man's hot take's not true, if we still have an NBA season, so hopefully we can keep it moving. And there's time to turn it around. But let's go ahead and make a bold prediction right now. Let's talk about the MVP right now. Currently, we're a couple weeks into the season. We're starting to get an idea who's hot, who's not, who's off to a good start. Let's talk about it. Bold prediction. Who's your early MVP? I'll start with you, Con Man. I haven't started with you in a while. Who do you have for the early MVP?
Well, at the beginning of the season, everybody probably took Luka Doncic. You know what I mean? But as of right now, I got to go Joe Embiid. He's averaging 26.4 points a game, 12 rebounds, shooting 54% from the floor. They're 10-5 in the top of the Eastern Conference. Embiid is coming to play. He's in better shape. I think he's got better coaching. I think that he's really coming through this year, and I think he's going to sustain his play throughout the course of the year. I'm going with Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid's an MVP for you. Chris, you seemed excited. Your 76ers mentioned. Let's hear it. Who do you have for the early season MVP?
I mean, Conman said exactly what I was going to say. Joel Embiid. I mean, you look at the term most valuable player, he's the most valuable player for his team. Right now with him, we're 10-2. You look at the 3 games we lost without him. I mean, you're not winning with your best player, even though one of the games was because of COVID. We only had 7 players, but the NBA still made us play. We're still the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference. You look at it, lost to Atlanta because of COVID, lost to Brooklyn. That was inexcusable. But regardless, Joel Embiid is dominating. 2 40-point games the past couple of the games, man. I mean, he's doing his thing, the most dominant big in the game. We look at the term most valuable player. What is his value towards his team? He's the reason why we're the first seed in East. So it got to be Joel.
All right. Joel Embiid for you two. Coach Cam, you making it 3 for 3. You got a different name on your belt.
I can't argue with it just because, of what the record is of the 76ers. But, I know they were a disappointing team, but
you're gonna say my name again. I'm gonna hate you so much.
I maybe am, but I look at what Nikola Jokic is doing, man. I know the Nuggets ain't performing well, but it's not because of him. He's out there averaging 25 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, shooting 57% from the field, 36 from 3, 86 from the line. He came in shape too, ready to play. And I just look at him like, he's the everything for the Nuggets. You know what I mean? Right now, he's the everything for the Nuggets. And like I said, for me, I know it hurts Chris to say, but for me, Jokic is the best center in the game. I know it hurts Chris, but Jokic to me is the best center in the game. What he can do and make for others, I think what separates him.
I mean,
got a couple wins, and Coach Cam's got one to go. But I think we just found a debate question if this is the finale.
I'll say this: I think him and Embiid are on a level that nobody else is close. I love Cat, but he's not touching that level.
No.
And Bam's not even close. I'll say that.
No.
Say he's over Embiid.
I just think, far as his playmaking for others, I think that's what separates him.
He not winning
right now. But like I say, it's still early. It's 7-7. You take Jokic off this team, he might be 0-14. I mean,
my Sixers lost every game without Embiid. My Sixers lost every game without Embiid. So I'm gonna respect him. I'm gonna let Will do his thing. I'll say that.
Cam said everything else to say. What more is there to say?
I mean, at least we all said centers now. Me and Comment went Sixers. Y'all guys went Denver.
Yeah, and I was getting ready to say, you talk about most valuable player. Think about the Nuggets right now without them. And then Coach Cam was like, I know what I'll do. I'll say that. So, right now they're sitting at 7-7, which is mediocrity. None of us are happy with how the Nuggets are playing. But take away Jokic, averaging a triple-double right now. You take that away. I mean, this is a bottom tier team, like Coach Cam said. Maybe looking at 0-14. Maybe Chris Brown doesn't say the Raptors. Maybe he says the Nuggets at that point. Imagine right now the Nuggets without Jokic, the way that they're playing. The way that Jamal Murray is underperforming with Michael Porter Jr. out due to COVID. Now take away Jokic from the equation, and you're gonna laugh at it. You're looking at it, and it's not great after that. So I had Nikola Jokic right now. The stats are just there. Joel Embiid, for me, would have to be number 2. I currently have him as a runner-up. But Jokic, right there, he's just playing on a different level, man. Whenever it comes to contributing, I mean, they're in games because of Jokic. They might not be winning, but they wouldn't even come close if it wasn't for Jokic right now. I can almost guarantee you they're not winning a game without him right now, too. So
shout out to the King. He's never going to get an MVP award again, but he just dominated the Milwaukee Bucks. So I just want to say shout out to the King. He should have won last year, arguably this year. Shout out to the King.
He could win this year. Last year, I don't think he should have won.
All right, folks. Coming up here on the end of Real Talk, like we said, only a couple of NBA topics today, but like we do in normal NBA fashion and normal Real Talk fashion, when we end a sport, we got to do a ranking. We got 3 names. Chris Brown finds some of the most even 3 names that he can find and just tries to give us an aneurysm live on air. So our 3 names for today, we've got Karl Malone, we've got Charles Barkley, and we've got Kevin McHale. Some of the 3 greatest to ever do it. Some greats to step on a court. Chris Brown, you can't run from this one. I'm making you go first.
Okay. I just want to say all these guys were great in their own right. For me, I'm going 3-1, and there's no disrespect to none of them. At 3, I got Kevin McHale, and no disrespect to him. To me, behind Akeem, arguably the second greatest post player, Charles Barkley called him the man of many moves, 100 moves, 1,000 moves. He had them all. I wish Dwight Howard would have used them when he was in Houston, because Kevin McHale was a beast. Walking double-double, walking dominant player in the paint, big piece to the Celtics in the 80s when they were making their run. Off the bench, starting, it didn't matter. He was producing. For me, I got Kevin McHale at number 3. At number 2, I got Malone. And I'm kind of being biased with this list. No disrespect to Karl Malone. He was a great player. The pick and roll helped him out a lot. Don't matter. They dominated. He won an MVP off it, multiple MVPs off it. He put up multiple scoring, great scoring seasons. That's why he's second all time. But the reason why I got Charles Barkley number 1, because I feel like out of all these 3 players, I feel like Charles Barkley can carry a team. He carried the team to the finals in the same Western Conference that Karl Malone is in by himself. Second best player wasn't as good as, to me, John Stockton. He had good teams, but I don't think that's, Chambers, Johnson. I'm taking Stockton over them all day. For me, I think Charles Barkley doesn't get the respect he deserves. He should have won multiple MVPs, got cheated one year, had the most first place votes, but didn't win. I'm not going to get into that. But Charles Barkley, to me, is my number 1. Kind of a bias. I think all 3 are great. I think Charles Barkley, to me, had a better game than all three. But no disrespect, I got Barkley 1, Malone 2, McHale 3. All great power forwards.
Okay. So, Coach Cam, I'll turn it over to you. We got Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, and Kevin McHale. Where do you rank these three gentlemen among themselves?
That's a good question. For me, it's rank them. It's our personal preference, pretty much. At 3 is I know it sounds crazy. I got Karl Malone at 3.
It don't sound crazy. It don't. I wanted to do it.
I got Karl Malone at 3, and it's no disrespect. He's one of the best, one of the best all-time scorers in the NBA. I just think, they were so systemized in Utah. You play with the Hall of Fame point guard like Stockton, and you play in the system, that Jerry Sloan created, that pick and roll, that was a lot. That was a lot that had to do with his success. And then I just look at the skill. I look at Kevin McHale as 2 for me. I like to see good footwork. I like to see, for big men, elite footwork. Kevin McHale was that, and he was a problem in the post. He was definitely a problem in the post, during his day. And then when I got Charles Barkley, I think Charles Barkley was the most skilled out of all of them. Can take you off the dribble. Can hit the mid-range, can step out and shoot the 3 occasionally. When Chuck was motivated, and, when Chuck was motivated, he was dominant. I'm talking about dominant. You talk about someone that's automatic, double-double. I mean, 20 and 10, sometimes 20 and 20. So, Barkley 1 for me, McHale 2, and Malone 3.
All righty. Con Man, we'll turn it over to you.
All right, here we go. I'm going to roll with Karl Malone, number 1. Karl Malone played 19 years, and I'm a stickler on longevity. Mm-hmm. Played 19 years on the same team. Well, except when he went for the Lakers, that 1 year. But we ain't going to count that. But he played 19 years in the NBA, 36,000 points, 25 points a game, shot 51% from the floor. To me, that says it all. I'm going to go number 2, my guy, Charles Barkley. It's unfortunate that Charles Barkley got to play with Dr. J during Dr. J's later years. He didn't really get the benefit of playing with guys like Kevin McHale did. Kevin McHale had, we all know who. So you got to give Charles Barkley a lot. A guy, he's only about 6'4" to do everything that he did. You got to give him. So I'm going to go Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, and I'm going to go Kevin McHale, number 3.
I've caught boxed out a couple of times, Con Man, and I love your history lessons. It's absolutely ridiculous to see some of the things and some of the stories that you have, man. And I feel honored to fall on the same list that I really do right now. I also had Karl Malone 1, Charles Barkley 2, and Kevin McHale 3. I mean, wow. You hit it the nail on the head for me. I'm a big stickler on longevity as well, and I understand that the Utah system with John Stockton, Karl Malone. I mean, it was a match made in heaven, but I mean, I can't knock somebody for just being in a good system. At the end of the day, good coaching staffs will make good systems for what you got. So ultimately, who you have. You have John Stockton. You have Karl Malone. These are generational players. You work around them. You mold your game to what you've got. Charles Barkley, I have to give it to him just because of everything he did. Like you had mentioned, 6'4", some of the crazy things that he has, to see some of the rebound numbers and everything, the all-around player that Charles Barkley was is ridiculous to me. And Kevin McHale, I have to put at number 3. Just like I said, longevity. Just for doing it longer. Kevin McHale, like Chris always says, no disrespect to these guys. All of them greats in their own way. All of them in the hall. So it obviously they're all enshrined in basketball history. But ultimately, that's where my list ended up falling as well. So, all right, we've reached the end here on ASAP Real Talk. Chris Brown, just one more time before we hop off. Why don't you let them know about our T-shirts?
Yes, I just want to say thank you, everybody that came in and watched us over 2 hours, and a lot of viewers stayed. The comments stayed. John, I see you commenting. Madison, I see you. Just thank you to you guys, to everybody watching. What I want you to do is to be that viewer of the month. like the video, share the video, like the page, share the page. You know, we got shows every single day of the week. Make sure you're live. Make sure you're tuned in. You know, we're going to tally everything at the end of the month. That person is going to be crowned the viewer of the month, and they're going to get their very own ASAP Network t-shirt. You know, if you want to buy a shirt, you can message, you know, the ASAP page on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If you know an analyst, you can message them personally, and they'll get back to me. One of the admins. Shirts are $14.99 plus shipping and handling. $14.99 plus shipping and handling to get a beautiful ASAP shirt, which I will be wearing on my debate Saturday. Make sure you tune into my debate on Saturday and Will on Sunday. Because then when we both win, we're going to face each other, and I'm going to beat you, Will. I'm saying it here. I'm going to beat you, and I'm going to beat Cam, and I'm going to get the title that I deserve because they cheated me last time.
2 words for you, Chris. Stepping stones. But what we haven't said yet, I know we always wrap it up. Chris Brown coming right back to you. Why don't you tell the folks at home a little bit about Anchor?
Listen, if you want to listen to us tomorrow, if you're somebody that called the show a little bit late, you can listen to us on all major audio platforms at ASAP Network. All major audio platforms at ASAP Network. You can go our Instagram bio, our Twitter bio, our Facebook bio. You're going to see a link. Click that link, and it's going to take you to multiple streaming platforms that we are on. All major audio platforms. Make sure you take a listen. You can hear this great, great show again tomorrow.
And just before we wrap it up, Nate's already calling you out in the comment section. Say if you move on to the next round,
you better bring it, Nate. You better bring it because listen,
he said that's a big if.
I'm telling you, listen. You can't just see me Saturday. Watch the outfit I wear. I'm coming heavy. I'm bringing out all the stops for the rest of this. Okay, the debate, the outfit. I'm ready to rumble.
Oh, Lord. All right. Let's get off before things get crazy. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us on another an episode of Real Talk, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, guys.
Peace. Wait, one more thing.
Oh, Lord.
Great show, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so time the laces. All sports, all plays. All sports.